Hey, what's up out there, YouTube? Double D here with Turnage Dubois. Welcome back. Today, we've got a simple project. It's new to me. Gonna do a walnut bowl. Shocking, I know. Double D doing walnut. Can't help myself. I want to do a pewter inlay in the rim. I've done some ashtrays with the pewter inlay. I want to try a bowl with a pewter inlay with this piece of walnut. So let's get rolling. All right, so I've got a tenon established. I'm going to flip it around, get the rim of the bowl flattened off. And then what I want to do from there is get the parting tool out, turn my crevice for the pewter inlay, and then I'm going to get that cast. So let's get that going. So we got the rim of our bowl established. So now we are going to use our parting tool and we're going to make our groove in here. I'm going to use another tool, my thin curve parting tool, to make a little bit of a dovetail so it'll hold that pewter in there, and then we'll get going the rest of the way. As you can see, it doesn't need to be super deep, but what we'll do is we'll be able to touch up this outside edge a little bit and then get the bowl portion started in there. I did have 2 more screws break off, so I'll have to be careful with getting those out, but we are ready to pour our pewter in this, and we'll go from there. All right, so I'll just be honest, I don't know how much of this I'm gonna get to show you just because the camera does get hot and will shut off and I can't stop mid-process of this. But I have some pewter ingots so I bought some pewter, found it at some antique stores, melted it down. I keep this aluminum muffin tin handy because this makes perfect molds for it. So when I melt it down, any that I have left after I pour it in here, I'll pour back into here and make a fresh ingot for it, so I can throw it back in the container to hang on to. I use a stainless steel ladle. I just put that in here. I use my torch. I heat it up till it melts. It melts just a little over 400 degrees. And then we'll pour it in. I learned this trick from my buddy Joe from my Woodturners Club. So thanks, Joe. Big shout out to you. And we'll get going. The reason you want to use aluminum is because the heat dissipates quickly. So you have a less chance of burning yourself or anything when you go to pour or empty it out. So it also doesn't stick, and what little does stick is just residual pewter and will melt right back in again to the next batch. And once it starts melting, it melts quick. The camera did get a little bit hot, so I apologize for that. But I brought you back so we could see the pour. It's already started hardening up. It will be warm for quite a while. So I will bring you back when we're ready to start turning that out. This has already started cooling. That's the joy of the aluminum, is it does dissipate that heat. So it's already started cooling that remaining portion. And that'll be ready to pop out of there in about 10 minutes or so. All right, so we are back. It is ready to go. I went and got myself a plug cutter after a few of you left some feedback, so we're going to use that to try and get these screws out. Well, we're back. Took a bit. Didn't want to bore you with all that, but I did end up getting them out. Just had to do a bit of hollowing. So now we're going to get this top cleaned up. We're going to get the outside shaped just a little bit, and then we'll start working on the inside. We're also going to do sanding sealer, because when we sand, there's some black that comes out of the pewter, and I don't want that infiltrating the wood, but I also need to CA glue some spots on the outside. So we'll get going. All right, I was going to make you watch the entire portion of me hollowing this out, but I left the walls thick because I want it to feel like the metal has an impact on it. Good condition all the way through. Obviously, we're going to use some CA glue on this inclusion and these little cracks. So we'll use some black. And then, so what we're going to do first, we're going to sanding seal the whole piece. Then we're going to CA glue it, and then we're going to get to sanding and go from there. So, yeah, let's hop to it. And we have our myelin sanding sealer. I'm not going to cut it because the wood's not really punky. The main thing is just sealing it up so that it doesn't get stains from the CA glue. So I'm not too worried about that. Not worried about the extra penetration that I get from the sanding from the denatured alcohol. So it's just straight sanding sealer on this piece. All right, we are back. We got it denibbed. I didn't bother wasting your time with that. We're going to use our black CA glue on this checking here at the end. There's a little bit of mark up inside where we can do that. And then this check that ends up, it's the same one as out here. So it just goes through. We'll make sure and get that sealed up really good. And then we'll use thin CA glue on the back side on this inclusion to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere. So if you need some Starbond CA glue, there is a link in the description below. You can get 15% off of your order by using that link or by using the coupon code DD15. So definitely use that to save yourself some money. It is awesome CA glue and I love the stuff. Like I said, we will use the Starbond thin for around the inclusion just to make sure it doesn't move at all, go anywhere. And we have that sanded up to 320 grit. So now we're going to hit it with our denatured alcohol. Pop that grain. Get a good look of what it's going to look like when we are done. And then hit it with our 400 grit. And go from there. So, yeah, let's see what happens. Now there is some marking from the sandpaper on the pewter inlay. So I will probably touch that with the micro mesh just a little bit to try and shine that up. It's not going to be anything major, but I want to see if I can get those marks out. With the ashtrays, I use some steel wool, but I don't really want the steel wool to do anything with the sanding and things that I do on that rim, so that's why I'm going to go with the micro mesh. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use our abrasive paste from Brad's Workbench. There is a link to his Etsy store down below if you have not tried it. But definitely go take a look if you're looking for an abrasive paste and a really nice finish. He has a couple of those in the sand, in the Tung Honey and the Tung Wax. Those kits, those finishes are superb. I absolutely love them, and I will probably be using the Tung Honey on this piece when I get it done. And we got it flipped around. We're going to take our tenon off, and then we will finish up the bottom. I won't bore you with the whole tenon removal because you've seen that many, many times, but we'll get this going. right, we are back. We got it laser engraved, the tenon taken off, sanded, all the steps that we've done before. We're now going to use our Tung honey finish from Brad's workbench. Like I said, there's a link in the description below to his Etsy store. So if you haven't tried it, I highly recommend it. But we're going to get this Tung honey applied and go from there. We'll just get this coat applied, and then we will leave it sit overnight and come back and check and see if it needs a second coat. I don't know that it will, but we will validate and, if necessary, apply again. Hey everybody, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that project where we took that piece of walnut and did the pewter inlay in the rim. So here is the finished piece. Really happy with how this turned out. We've got a little bit of the inclusion on the inside there. We have the bark edge over here. The graining is really nice in this. The figuring is pretty good, and then that pewter inlay really just kind of stands out against that darker wood. As you saw, melted the pewter. Pewter melts at around 425 degrees Fahrenheit. So using the stainless steel ladle and the torch was perfectly fine. Just a matter of maintaining that, making sure that it melts down really well, that you don't have any chunks in it or anything, and then pouring it in really slowly. Eventually I will get to where I'm going to start saving any of the shavings, but for the first couple of times, just trying to get it done and try and look and see how I feel about it, how I like it, etc. So we're going to keep moving on with those projects and having a lot of fun. If this is your first time here, please do consider subscribing. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If not, give it a thumbs down. Either way, leave your comments, feedback down below. I appreciate it. I grow from them. And we'll catch you next time.